for that game from last year when they lost 61-31. South Florida didn't return much production since then, ranking 125th, okay, since last year. And so this is the different South Florida team. It's a very different South Florida team is what I'm trying to say. And it's never bad to fade Charlie Strong in these situations. South Florida should be 1-2 right now from their luck against Georgia Tech, those kickoff touchdowns, and I think East Carolina can win this thing outright. I am taking East Carolina plus 23.5 for 3 units, and I'm putting 1 unit on the money line. That is my long shot play. A couple more plays. Well, we have a few premium plays for our Odds Breakers members. Florida Atlantic versus Central Florida, ASU versus Washington, Western Michigan versus Georgia State, and Eastern Michigan versus San Diego State is our premium plays. Other plays, just real quick. Florida -6 versus Tennessee. The power ratings have this at 8. Tennessee is in full-blown rebuild mode. Florida's still decent. I think they take care of business here at Tennessee. Win by, roughly 10 points. The next one, Louisville versus Virginia, -5 and over under 54.5. Big fade on Louisville here for me. They should have lost to Western Kentucky, getting almost doubled in yards. Both teams play slow at about 63 and 64 plays per game. They don't score much. Virginia scored against Ohio, but that was more of the outlier. They could barely score against Indiana. Virginia is minus. I'm taking Virginia -5 here, and I'm also taking the under at 54.5. And I like the under even a little bit better than the side. I think these slow-playing teams are going to definitely benefit the under here. Virginia likes to run the ball. Penn State versus Illinois, +27.5. This is another huge look-ahead spot for Penn State. They're playing Ohio State next week. Oh, Illinois, this is a Friday game too, which is cool. We got to play for Friday. Illinois may get their quarterback too, AJ Bush back. So that's what I'm banking on. They circled this game. I remember when they circled the Wisconsin game last year and only lost by 17, 18 or something. They should keep this game within 24 points. My power ratings actually has this as a 23 anyway. So definitely liking Illinois plus 27.5. There's actually 28.5s in the market right now, so you can probably benefit even more than when I took this game. Texas Tech, I'm waiting on the plus 14.5 when the public bets up Okie State. Waiting on this line because of the letdown spot against Boise State. But I got to tell you, their running back at Oklahoma State, Justice Hill, that really scares me. What a great name, Justice Hill. Just his freaking name is going to get him into the NFL. How could your name be Justice Hill and how could you be left out of the NFL? My kids have a book and they're all a bunch of heroes with claws and everything, and one of them's name is Jake Justice. Maybe his middle name was Tatum or something, but guys, go blame your parents right now for not naming you Justice Hill because you're not in the NFL. Big games. Stanford versus Oregon. +2. Oregon's +2, and that's pretty much the same as my line. I want to bet this one. It could go. This thing's all over the board for me. I cannot get a good feel on this game. I'm going to watch it and enjoy it and not have to worry about a side. And, sometimes those big games is just better for you to watch. And we have enough action going. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. I think Stanford's going to win by 2 points. That's what I think. 2 or 3, whatever. Not enough edge there to play a bet on. So, really, really can't wait for this game. The Sharp Money Report. Florida Atlantic plus 13.5. 19% more money than tickets. So Michigan from minus 18 to minus 19. That was both public and sharps. Actually, was on Michigan against SMU. Wake Forest plus 7.5 versus Notre Dame has a percentage point difference between the tickets and the amount of money. Iowa State sharp money plus 18.5 versus Akron has a 27% point difference. Akron beat Northwestern last week. It's a letdown spot. Iowa needs to win this game after losing to Oklahoma. Ohio plus 8.5 versus Cincinnati, a 20 percentage point difference. Sharp money on SMU and all right, SMU versus Navy. SMU plus 6.5. There's a 30 percentage point difference. I misspoke about Michigan before. Michigan's playing Nebraska. Don't know why I wrote SMU down there. It was a typo. So some sharp money on SMU versus Navy. That's kind of strange. 30% too. Staying away from that one. Georgia Tech plus 17 versus Clemson. 20% difference. So actually some sharps like Georgia Tech here. I'm against them here. FIU plus 26.5 versus Miami. 25 percentage point difference. NC State minus 6.5 down to minus 5.5 versus Marshall. There's a 22% difference between the amount of tickets and the amount of money. New Mexico State minus 2.5 to minus 3.5 versus UTEP. There's a 29% percentage point difference. Eastern Michigan plus 11 versus San Diego State. This is a sharp side. 35% difference between the number of tickets and the sharp money on Eastern Michigan. Totals. Florida Atlantic versus Central Florida over 67 all the way up to 75. 22% difference. Man, there are a lot of totals here too. Penn State versus Illinois 57.5 to 60. 20 percentage point difference. Notre Dame versus Wake Forest 54.5 to 61. Over. 21% point difference from the ticket total and the money. Akron versus Iowa State 50 down to 45. Under 40 percentage point difference there. Boston College versus Purdue over 60 to 68. About a 20 percentage point difference between the tickets and the money. Kent State versus Ole Miss went from 71.5 to 77.5, and there is a 39% difference between the tickets and the money. So a lot of people betting this over, a lot of sharps betting this over. Navy versus SMU under 65, 33 percentage point difference. Louisville versus Virginia under 54.5. 42 percentage point difference. Well, I'm on this one, so I'm really happy I'm on that side. Miami of Ohio versus Bowling Green over 55. And there's a 55 percentage point difference on that one. They really like the over there. Baylor versus Kansas under 61, all the way down to 57.5 now. 27 percentage point difference. Tulane versus Ohio State. Over 64.5 to 66 and a 26 percentage point difference. UConn versus Syracuse over 72 all the way up to 76. 31% difference between the points, between the ticket total and the money. TCU versus Texas under 51.5 down to 47.5. And there's a 24 percentage point difference from the total of tickets and the under. Army versus Oklahoma under 63.5, 35 percentage point difference. And Sharps hit the under on LA Tech versus LSU. Went from 51 to 48, 40 percentage point difference. UTEP versus New Mexico State, under 51 down to 48.5, 45 percentage point difference. And Wisconsin versus Iowa, over 42 to 43.5. And that's a 30 percentage point difference. So it looks like they are hitting the over there on a Wisconsin game. That's kind of weird. Air Force versus Utah State, under 64 with a 45 percentage point difference in that one, because it's a triple option team, most likely. Looks like the triple option teams, Army and Air Force, all got hit by the Sharps on the under because they run a lot of clock running the ball. All right. Those are my plays. Sorry they're so fast, but we have to get to our handicappers. Let's bring on in our Big 12 specialist, Eddie Owens. All right, now we have a longtime handicapper with us. My man Eddie Owens is back to break down his college picks. Last week, he went 6-2. You can tweet him at Eddie Has Winners if you want any of his premium picks. He is a Big 12 specialist. How you doing, Eddie?
I'm doing great. You know, we've had a great weekend last weekend, like you said, and we had a stellar 2 weeks before that, and now we're starting to get into week 4. Now we have a lot of advantages we can play. We're starting to see how the teams really unfold. So, yeah, man, we're not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, and I know for a fact for all of our communications how much time and effort you do put into this. I appreciate that. You don't, like, just jump into something to do it. You definitely do the work, and I think that shows with some of your records here, and so that's pretty awesome, my man. Let's get into the Big 12 a little bit, which was definitely a lot better than the Big 10 last week. And, you know, why don't we start with, you know, kind of we did the Big 12 preview probably, God, was it a month and a half, 2 months ago? It feels like forever ago, man. And did anything kind of happen, like, for example, did any teams, you know, exceed your expectations, or did any teams not meet up to your expectations?
Well, let's see. OU football, they're still at the top for me. And I figured they would still be at the top. And like I said, it would be kind of like college basketball season. And all these teams are just going to be, you know, battling each other out. I still think OU will win the Big 12. But, I mean, we got to start off with Kansas, I think. I mean, whenever they beat Rutgers last week, I mean, I didn't think they would beat them that bad, and I did not want to even get near that game just because Kansas was laying points for the first time in I don't even know how long. Yeah. But it's just kind of fun to, you know, I'm glad for those guys. You know, they are returning like some crazy, like 88% of their returning production. And so they are very experienced. I'm just kind of happy for them to, you know, get a couple wins finally, just so those seniors and older upperclassmen, you know, don't, you know, become defeated after the season. Right.
Yeah, you know, and they came off that Central Michigan win, so you thought maybe they let down a little bit against Rutgers, but no, they blew them out 55-14.
Yeah, and I was all over that Kansas money line that whenever they were playing Central Michigan, because my numbers had it at a pick 'em with my numbers, my power ratings, and the spread came out to, I think I got it at 4, and then I hit it again at 4.5, and then I sprinkled a little on the money line, and you saw what happened there.
Right.
So yeah, they've surprised me, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That was kind of the first thing for Kansas, and everyone was all happy about it. And now they beat Rutgers. We haven't seen a start like this, and hell, I don't even remember. So, like you said, Kansas, the old basketball schools, kind of coming through a little bit, almost like how Kentucky has been doing it the last 2 years here in the SEC. A little bit of a flip flop. You know, they need that football program. You know, that's where the money's at. I mean, basketball is great, But the attendance and the sponsorship and the TV, you got to have football. So those schools that can achieve both